Chris.
Thank you very much, Victoria. And thank you all for taking the time today. It's sunny up there, but it is actually not sunny down here today. One of the few days this week that have not been gorgeous. So not to complain. But so this is the new normal, which is a saying that I currently hate because it changes every few days anyway. But we're basically just going to talk today a little bit about how to stay motivated, how to stay on track in terms of our health and our wellness while being on lockdown and working from home. So first and foremost, I think, we'll talk about scheduling wise, how we're going to kind of structure this. I'm going to talk a little bit about kind of the mindset involved in this, because I believe everything starts up here, especially when we're talking about taking care of this body and our surroundings. So first and foremost, we're going to talk about a little bit of mindset and kind of the psychology of staying focused and staying on track and organizing a health and wellness plan that suits your individual needs. Next, we're going to talk about nutrition. As Victoria said, I have a master's degree in clinical nutrition from NYIT, and I'm very proud of that. And has been a mainstay of my athletic career and my professional career since I graduated. So we will talk a lot about nutrition and how to kind of maneuver some of the potholes that we're coming across with this new normal that we're dealing with. And then lastly, we'll talk a little bit about exercise and how to stay physical and how to keep our body fit to go along with keeping our mind strong and our nutrition on point. So I'll go through this fairly quickly. I want to leave a good amount of time for questions at the end. Generally, when these kind of topics are talked about, it's usually best to open it up to Q&A, get some feedback from you guys, get some questions of things that you're dealing with. Oftentimes, whatever you're dealing with, a lot of other people are as well. So it gives a great way for me to kind of reach everyone's needs when we do an open forum situation. But in the meantime, let's get started with mindset. So this is a big one. Like I said, everything starts in the mind, especially when it comes to taking care of the body that you're in. So I think first and foremost, understanding that the situation that we're in, a lot of it is out of our control. We are mandated to stay at home. We have a stay-at-home order. Life has changed tremendously and dramatically. So understanding that that's out of our control. We don't understand exactly this disease and the virus that it is, because really the people at the top don't either. There's a lot of really smart people who are trying to figure this thing out, and they're working hard on it all day long. So trying to assume that you know what's going on, or trying to figure out what exactly is happening, or listening to YouTube people tell you about what's actually happening probably isn't the most helpful thing to do. So I think in the meantime, just control the controllable. And those, first and foremost, is controlling your own body, controlling your house that we are all in, and your nucleus of friends and family who you have access to. So controlling that and being in control of that can really help with some of the anxiety associated with the new normal and the lack of control that's out there. So I think attacking each day is really important, because time, which is usually something, especially in New York, is a limited commodity. Now, time is almost the enemy. We have so much time, and there's so little structure to many of our days as compared to what they were in normal life. Time can be the enemy right now. It's because there's so many people about how to stay motivated, how to schedule the day, how to get anything done. I've heard from many people who say that with all this time, they're getting even less done. They have all this time to do other things, but they're just completely unmotivated, and there's a lack of direction. So first and foremost, I think attacking your day each and every day is really important. Understanding that just because you don't have an imposed schedule, you can impose a schedule on yourself. So I like to write out my week, what I'm going to do each day, very roughly. Times of day, certain things to do. If I do have any meetings or anything like that, structuring a week that way in advance, 7 days in advance, starting on a Sunday and running all through the week, and have loose plans that can pivot, because that's a big part of this too, being able to live in this situation, being able to pivot as things change. And then getting more structured as day by day goes on. So first thing I do in the morning is I kind of wake up and kind of take my idea of what I'm going to do that day, set some goals for that day, and then look to knock them down one by one as we go, and just kind of take each day like that. And I think a big part of this, it sounds silly, but making your bed first thing in the morning sets the tone of structure for your day. As simple as that is, to make your bed first thing in the morning, it's kind of like almost like a momentary meditation where you get to kind of focus on something that you don't have to think about. You can just do it, and it starts your day with some structure. And also, anytime you go back in your room, you see that made bed. It's good for the mind to see order. Another thing that I think is really important to do each day, and it's a good thing to start your day, is to practice gratitude. Think about all the things that you still have, not the things that you've lost, the liberties, the ability to do what you normally do. Understand that what we have and what you have, like, for one, your health is not guaranteed, especially now. There's plenty of people who are gasping for air. So being able to breathe, having your health, having your family around you. For the people who do have jobs still, it's a beautiful thing. It's a blessing to have a job. So understanding and kind of starting your day with the things that you are happy about and that you have rather than that you don't have can really set the intention for the day in a positive manner, and can help with staying motivated and kind of knocking out the tasks that you set out for yourself. So like I said, I think the mental aspect really helps with everything else. And when I talk about even setting your goals for the day, not everything has to be like work or hitting your checklist of things that you have to do that day. I think it's important to put down maybe a dietary goal that day, a physical goal that day. I want to walk 5,000 steps today or 10,000 steps today, or I want to work out for at least 45 minutes. I want to make sure that I'm eating protein 3 meals a day. So you can set goals like that as well. As simple as that, as simple as walking more or getting 100 push-ups in today can be a really easy and good way to kind of set yourself up for success and to get something done that's going to help you not only mentally but physically. From the nutrition aspect of it, in terms of a dietary eating plan, I have been suggesting and have found great results with people in these last 2 months with the use of some intermittent fasting. Now, intermittent fasting is a time restrained eating window. Okay, there's a number of ways to do fasting. I think the easiest way is to follow the time restricted eating window, which is you set a certain amount of percentage of your day as a fasted time that you don't eat. And then you have a window and you eat during that time. And it's something that you do each and every day. So the preferred and most beneficial way to do it is a 16-hour fast with an 8-hour eating window. So it sounds like a lot. 16 hours not eating sounds like a long time. 8 hours does not sound like a whole lot of time to get in all your food, but it's a lot easier than you would think. So let me just put some times and numbers to it. So if you have your last meal at 8 p.m. and then you go to bed shortly after that, you wake up in the morning, essentially you're just skipping breakfast because your next available time to eat would be at 12 noon. So an intermittent fasting plan is basically just skipping breakfast. So if you eat by 8 p.m., you sleep hopefully 7, 8, maybe even 9 hours if you're me, to get full recovery. We'll talk a little bit about sleep too. If you're asleep for the majority of that time, and then in the morning, most people are not really that hungry. And things that you can actually have that will not throw you out of your fast is black coffee and tea. So as long as there's no sugar and there's no calories, your fasting will not get disrupted. The reason I suggest fasting, one, it's very easy. The rules are simple. You just don't eat for a period of time each and every day. But two, metabolically and physiologically, what's happening in your body, there's a number of beneficial attributes to that dietary eating plan. So number one is gut rest, right? We're allowing our GI to rest and recover fully so that our body can deal with anything else that's going on, keeping our immune system strong, rebuilding tissue, or even getting rid of old tissue, old cells that need to go. So what else is good about it from a metabolic standpoint is the influence on blood sugar and insulin balance. So I don't know how much you guys know about how kind of human physiology and metabolism and nutrition works within the body, but when you eat something that has carbohydrates, has blood sugar, or gets broken down into our bloodstream, our blood sugar rises. Our pancreas then will release insulin, which allows our cells to take that sugar out of the blood and utilize it for energy. When we are constantly eating, which in our culture, and especially when we're home all the time, it's very easy to kind of reach for snacks throughout the day. And we're constantly spiking that blood sugar. We're keeping an elevated blood sugar level throughout the day. What happens is that two things happen. Number one is our pancreas has to work really hard because it has to pump out a lot of insulin to deal with that extra blood sugar. And number two, our cells can become resistant to the influence of insulin, because you constantly have these cells surrounded by insulin and bombarded by this hormone. You become something called insulin insensitive. So your cells don't listen to the chemical message that the insulin normally does, which is to take up the sugar. So this is what early onset diabetes is about. This is what type 2 diabetes truly is. Blood sugar insulin sensitivity, heightened blood sugar. So that is why following a fasting protocol can be really helpful, because one, it allows like I said, your gut to rest, your GI, but also allows your pancreas to rest and allows your cells to not be bombarded by blood sugar and insulin throughout the day. When you're not eating during your fast, our body has a certain amount of stored energy in the form of, one, glycogen, which is what we keep carbohydrates, and we keep that in our liver and our skeletal muscle cells. So that's what kind of keeps our blood sugar steady throughout the day, is that the breakdown of glycogen that releases sugar into the bloodstream keeps our blood sugar stable throughout the day. Because our brain is extremely, extremely hungry, meaning it needs energy all the time. It's metabolically and energetically demanding, and its number one source of fuel is glucose. So we want to keep our blood sugar steady so we can keep our brain working optimally. In the absence of glycogen or blood sugar, our body can revert to using ketone bodies, which is what the ketogenic diet is, which is not one that I normally recommend to people unless it's for a specific disease state, or for a short duration in order to accomplish some kind of immediate goal. That's why I like intermittent fasting so much better as a dietary template for recommendation for right now during quarantine. So our body can work on ketones well, but getting into that ketosis and getting into that fat adapted state can be a little taxing and difficult to do and to maintain. And it's very easy to get bonked out of ketosis. So that's another reason why I don't recommend it as much. It's a much more difficult and time-consuming dietary template. Whereas fasting, you just don't eat, and it's pretty easy to follow, and you don't really have to do too much research. So that's kind of the dietary template that I think works really well for right now. Because for one, we have a lot of time, we're stuck at home, and it's difficult to deal with making all your food throughout the day, eating 3-4 meals a day if you're cooking for other people as well, family members, children, whatnot. But in terms of when it is time to prepare meals, and especially now that we're just not as active, we aren't as active as a society, but now especially that we have to stay home, and especially in New York, where maybe weather permitting, or just because of the stay-at-home decree, that it's difficult to get outside and to be active. And depending on how much space you have in your own home to work out, you may be needing a lot less calories and energy and carbohydrates specifically than usual. So I tell people now, carbohydrates are really for movement. If you're not moving a whole lot, you don't need a whole lot of carbohydrates. So unless you're moving a lot, you don't need a lot of carbs in any particular day. One way to combat that is how you build your plate. And I'm meaning like for a meal, okay? And I've been telling everyone about half of your plate should be non-starchy vegetables. So leafy greens, cruciferous vegetables like broccoli and cauliflower, colorful peppers, onions. Half your plate should be that. get full on vegetables, get a lot of fiber into your system, get a lot of antioxidants, a lot of colors, a lot of nutrition on that first half of the plate. The other half of your plate cut into 2 equal parts, so quarters. One will be a piece of lean protein. I'm talking chicken, fish, turkey, lean cuts of beef, pork. So that could be 1/4 of your plate there. So you get your protein needs in for the day. Protein is important for satiation, so you feel full. And it's also important for your immune system, making sure that your body is staying strong. It's important from a calorie standpoint, getting enough calories and nutrients into your body. The other quarter is going to be your whole grains, your complex carbohydrate source. Things like sweet potatoes, quinoa, beans, rice and beans, things like that, whole wheat pastas. The reason I say whole wheat or whole grain is because of the fiber content. So the fiber, one, will help you keep more full, also help you keep regular. It's also it's a prebiotic for your gut bacteria to stay healthy. Prebiotic versus probiotic are 2 different things. I'm gonna go off on a tangent a little bit. So probiotics are the actual organisms that live in your stomach, the bacteria, the good bacteria, the gut biome that keeps you healthy, is a big part of your immune system, helps you to digest food. The prebiotic is actually the food that the probiotic eats, that the organism eats, and that's things that are undigestible fibers. Okay, that's like even things like onion and garlic have a lot of prebiotic parts to them that our body can't fully digest, but those probiotic microorganisms can. And just like anything, if you feed things the right way, they'll be more healthy. And the more healthy your gut biome is, the more healthy you are. So it's important to feed those little guys in there. So thinking about our plate, we've got half the plate, non-starchy vegetables. 1/4 of the plate is going to be your lean protein. And then the other 1/4 of your plate is going to be your whole grain, fiber-rich, complex carbohydrate sources. Now, because we are stuck at home cooking a lot, some of us, I'm sure, are ordering in at times, but it can get pretty expensive if that's what you're doing all the time. How do you deal with leftovers? Okay, that was a big problem I had in the beginning. Was I felt like I was having food go bad and throwing it away. Now I've pretty much gotten a handle on that. I don't throw away anything at this point. It's important to understand how to shop for yourself and your family, what your needs are, but also how to repurpose your leftovers into meals for later in the week, or for meals the next day and whatnot. So if you're not a meal prep person, which I know a lot of people are not, meal prepping can definitely help with this, because you just portion out your meals, and you could do just like that plate pretty much. You got your vegetable, you have your protein, you have your carbohydrate source. You make that in bulk and then put it into individual containers. Makes it very easy to do that. A lot of people are not structured into like that. A lot of people don't like to reheat their food like that. Totally understand both stances. And if that's the case, excuse me, that's the case, just think about repurposing your dinners for your lunches the next day. So if you prepare an entree of chicken piccata, and you have a side of broccoli and rice, maybe the next day for lunch you have whatever leftover chicken piccata you have, and you put that on a sandwich, or you put that on a salad. Something that you can switch it up just enough so you don't feel like you're eating the same thing 2 meals in a row. But that's a really good way to get rid of some of the leftover food without throwing anything away, without having any food waste. Taking entrees from the night before and turning it into lunches the next day. The easiest way is obviously you can throw in 2 pieces of bread, but if you're keeping your carbs low, it might be better for you to put it on a salad, and to add some fat to that as well, whether it be avocado, whether it be extra virgin olive oil, whether it be some cheese, depending on what your fat choices are. Also, if you're keeping your carbs low, you could do something where you mix cauliflower rice with regular rice, or just use cauliflower rice and on its own. Something that I've been doing is I've been mixing cauliflower rice with peas, green beans, or peas. That way you're adding a little bit of protein, you're adding some more fiber to that non-starchy vegetable source in the cauliflower rice. Almost feels like you're eating rice, but the carbs are way lower. Or just have it with your rice. I like eating carbs. I think we all like eating carbs. But if you don't have to limit them as much, that's just a way to kind of add in some extra nutrition to your carb sources. Mix in some peas or some cauliflower rice. Big one, hydration. Now this one, this is important for a number of reasons. One, I mean, everybody process that everything that happens within our body, everybody processes that's occurring at any time during the day requires H2O, requires water. Being dehydrated can often lead to you feeling more hungry. So staying hydrated can almost be like an appetite suppressant. If you eat something and then you find yourself like, man, why am I hungry right now? When you probably shouldn't be, especially if you just ate. Oftentimes we just need to hydrate more. Or it could be a situation of just kind of volume and fulfilling of your stomach. We have receptors in our stomach that they will respond to stretch. So a lot of times when our stomach stretches out, hormones are released to tell us that we are full and we don't need to eat anymore. So you could just be missing that stretch. So drinking a volume of water, 60 ounces, 20 ounces, even up to a liter at a time, can get that kind of stomach stretch to where you don't feel hungry. Or you give yourself an extra hour till it is time to eat again. So staying hydrated is really important. How much water should you be drinking? Easiest way to do it is to take your weight in pounds and divide it by 2. And that will be how many ounces of water that you should aim for at a bare minimum. So for example, if you are 180 pounds, you should drink 90 ounces of water in a day, which is 3 liters. Okay. And that's pure water, not including other drinks, or other hydrating drinks. Alcohol is not hydrating, by the way. That's pretty much the only thing that's not. Coffee and tea are not dehydrating. Repeating that, coffee and tea do not dehydrate you. It has long been debunked that caffeine and caffeine-containing drinks dehydrate you. Coffee will dehydrate you if there is tons of sugar in it. Okay, that's what makes coffee dehydrating, not the caffeine. So coffee and tea is not dehydrating. That you can add that to your hydration list as well. So just back to those numbers again, half your body weight in pounds, that's how many ounces of water you should aim for in any given day. And that's not including any kind of workouts or any kind of sweating that you do. So just keep that in mind. Got my water here. Nice pure water. This is 32 ounces. So if I were 180 pounds, which I'm not, I would need 3 of these. I'm actually 150 pounds, so I need about 2.5 of those. Okay, let's talk a little bit about exercise. Okay, so staying active, staying busy, keeping the body moving. Not only is it good for your body and for your physique and for your look, it's also good for your mind. And it's good for your mind in a number of ways. Number one is body image. Obviously, if you look in the mirror and you're happy with the way you look, it's going to make you feel better. But also, it's good for your memory and your body, your mind's ability to retain information. There's really good studies and really good research that shows that exercising prior to learning something as well as exercising after learning something actually have benefits to your body's your mind's ability to make new memories and to recall the memories that you made. So if you ever are studying or doing work and you are feeling tired, go work out. Get some blood flowing. Get some movement. You don't necessarily have to be a runner or someone who likes to lift weights. That's fine. Doing body weight exercises is great. The idea is our circulatory system is basically a fluid. We're moving fluid throughout our body. Our brain requires a ton of oxygen. It requires a ton of nutrients and a ton of energy, like I said earlier. So even just moving around and getting some blood flowing through your body is really good for your brain. You're going to bring more oxygen. You're going to move out any kind of waste product that's going on up there. You're going to bring sugar to the brain. You're going to wake your brain cells up by waking your body up. So doing some kind of physical activity is really good even for your mental aspect when it comes to tasks that you're doing, things that you're learning, or even reading. So don't be afraid to put the book down for a moment and go run some sprints or do some push-ups or something like that. I used to do that in college a lot. People, I think, used to make fun of me because I used to do push-ups in the library. But it helped. Walking and stretching count as exercise. So counting your steps is a great way to get an idea of how much you're moving in a day. Using walks for your mental and physical health is a very good idea. Getting outside, getting vitamin D is really important. But also just the physical act of walking, it burns calories. It is an exercise. A couple exercises that I do at home that are completely body weight orientated. You don't need any equipment whatsoever. I call it a ladder. And what I do is I do jumping jacks, and I'll do 25 jumping jacks. Then I go down 5 and I do 20 squats, air squats. Then I do 15 push-ups. Then I'll do 10 lunges each leg, and then I'll do 5 squat thrusts. So it's 5 exercises, starting at the top with jumping jacks, squats, push-ups, lunges, squat thrusts. Okay, and I start at 25, 20, 15, 10, and then 5. And I'll do that 4 times. It only takes probably 12 to 15 minutes to do, depending on how much rest you take. And it can be tiring as long if you do it fast, and you don't take too much rest. But it doesn't necessarily have to be done like that. It can be done. You can do that throughout the whole day. Just stop and jump down and give yourself one of those ladder drills. Go through that. Go on with the rest of your day. Jump in the middle of the day. Do it after your lunch. Do it before your lunch. Very easy to do. You can do anywhere. You don't need any equipment whatsoever. It's just your body. And you can always mix it up any way you can. If you don't want to do squat thrusts, which I understand a lot of people don't, if you can't do squat, you can't do jumping jacks, that's fine. You can just jog in place for a little bit. You can completely cut it out altogether, but doing something matters. Doing something helps. Power tens. This is something that my family and I have used on vacations for a number of years when we were hanging around and just kind of celebrating and not really worrying too much about exercise. Well, somebody will yell power 10, and then we all jump down and we do 10 push-ups. So that's something that you can enact in your family, in your household with your family. People might hate you for it, but at the end of the day, it can be beneficial to just get some exercise at any point throughout the day. Planks are very good for your core body structure, keeping your body in line and in the right position without causing any pain on your neck. So jumping down and doing 15 to 20 to 30 to 60-second planks a couple times a day can be really beneficial for your core. Keeping your core strong is important for keeping your back healthy. Nothing like having an injured back, especially if we're sitting a lot or hunched over a lot, which much of our lives are spent that way over phones and whatnot. So core work is very important. Planks are a great way to do it. Just make sure that your technique is done properly. If you don't know what it looks like, YouTube can help you with that. Just look up planks. Just make sure your body stays nice and straight. Don't let it sag. But that's pretty much all I got for you guys. I'd love to open up for some questions. So I'm not sure how we're going to do this. Is there a raise a hand or a text? But anybody, any questions out there? Could be about anything. It could be food, could be exercise, it could be mental stuff, it could be what my favorite ice cream is, anything you want. Okay, question on intermittent fasting. Okay, question is, do you keep the same time schedule every day? It's not necessarily to do that. It does not need to be, my last meal was at 8, I have to eat at 12. It's just the idea that there's 16 hours in between. So, because listen, I mean, I cook dinners all the time. Sometimes I plan for 8 and I don't eat till 9. So in that case, it's fine that if my last meal was at 9, that it'll be 16 hours from that. So my next meal will be 1. Or if I had an early dinner and I went to sleep early one night and I had my last meal at 6 p.m., as long as there's 16 hours between that last feeding and the next one, you're fine. Because that's really what it is. It's the length of time to where you see the benefit. 16 hours is that time when you get the most benefit. Well, that's when you start to see the benefit of fasting. Going longer can actually be even more beneficial. Like the 18-hour range is 18-hour to 20-hour range of fasting can be beneficial as well. I do not suggest doing that every day. Even once a week, going to 18-hour fast can be beneficial for the rest of the week as well. But I don't suggest doing 18 every day. Although there are plenty of people out there that say that is helpful and manageable. But that's really up to you. You also don't have to fast every single day. There's a lot of different ways to fast. Some people do a 5-2 where they eat normally 5 days a week, and then 2 days during the week they fast completely. They don't have to be in a row, but they'll take maybe a Tuesday, a Wednesday off, and a Sunday off, or a Friday off and a Monday off, where there's a couple of days in between where they won't eat at all. They'll just drink water, or they'll do a very, very low calorie day, and maybe they'll do 500 or 600 calories that day. I don't really suggest that either. I think being less extreme on your dietary approaches is the best, most stable, most beneficial way. The body does not like big drastic changes. That's what homeostasis is all about. So 16 hours is not that long, and doing it every day is very manageable. So yeah, guys, you can also, if you can, I miss people's faces. So if you want, if you wanted to ask a question in person, you can join that way.
I have a question.
Sure.
What about in like regards to supplements
Mm-hmm.
and like supplements as in like think like actual like vitamins and pills you can take, but also, when you like a liquid IV as like a Gatorade kind of, but
Mm-hmm.
I use liquid IV or an emergency as a supplement. Like are these things that, do you count those in your daily water totals, or those additional, or what's like your thought on just like supplements? 'Cause I know I've heard, you don't need them because if you eat the right diet, you don't really need to supplement, or I don't know, just.
Okay, so in terms of just supplements in general, people ask me all the time, like I'm a nutritionist, I'm a whole food guy, but there is a need for supplements for a number of reasons for various different populations. Not everyone does, depending on your diet. Athletes, I think, absolutely have to because of the metabolic demand and what they're putting their bodies through. I think right now in the climate that we're in terms of immunity and staying healthy and staying strong with what's going on, I think supplements are very important. Things like vitamin D, vitamin C, vitamin A, zinc, omega-3 fatty acids, keeping the inflammation down. These are all things that I think that are important throughout the year, but especially now, or even through the flu seasons. It's funny, all these people are talking about these natural remedies for the coronavirus, but they're all the normal natural things that you would do for cold season, flu season, if you are sick. Vitamin A, C, D, those things are all good for you. Zinc, they're all good for you when you are sick. And yes, there is potential for them to help you during this outbreak, but those are things that should be high in your diet and in your supplementation anyway. So, and when talking about counting the hydration of using like an emergency or liquid IV, yeah, that would absolutely count towards your liquid hydration. And honestly, I mean, it could count as even more because you're getting the electrolytes to help your body holds the water in. If you just drink water and you don't add anything to it, and you don't even eat, you can actually flush out a lot of your electrolytes. Your electrolytes are what helps your body keep the water in. You actually stay hydrated, especially sodium. So, and sodium's not bad for you. Sodium is an essential nutrient. We need to limit it because it is found in so many processed foods. But if you are cooking for yourself, added salt and sodium is a huge part. And if you're an athlete, forget it. Sodium is integral. Okay. Did that answer your question?
Yep, sounds good. I think there's another question in here as well.
Mm-hmm. And a follow-up. Do you ever have a cheat day? And if you don't do the intermittent fasting,
I think you kind of answered that one.
Yeah, but cheat days, I go with the cheat day because I don't have a cheat day per se. I tend to listen to my body, and if there is something that I do want, I'll have it. But I would prefer to make it myself. Like, man, I saw a commercial for a Wendy's hamburger. I'm like, man, I want a hamburger tonight. I'm not going to run to Wendy's. I'm going to make it myself. So that way I'm in control of one, the quality of the ingredients, and two, the preparation. So being in control of the preparation, knowing exactly what goes into your food, I think is really important. And having quality, like there's always the meat versus vegan versus vegetarian debate. And I am a meat eater. If anyone who follows me on social media, and even from the things I'm saying, I'm definitely a meat eater. Human beings are omnivores. But if you want to be vegan or vegetarian, that's fine by me. I've worked with athletes that way. I work with people who are. But I think it comes down to more of a quality of the meat versus meat being unhealthy in general. I don't think meat is unhealthy. There's nothing to say that it is. But the quality of the meat matters. There is a lot of unhealthy meat out there. So understanding what your food is made of is really important, and being in control of that is really important as well. So if I do want to have a cheat day, if I want to have pancakes, or if I want to have a Belgian waffle with bacon, I do. And I don't have a particular day that I do that because I don't like to give gravity and power to the word cheat. I don't like to say, well, today's my cheat day, so I'm going to go cheat. No, If I want to have a hamburger, I have a hamburger. If I want to have pizza, I'll have a pizza. But I'll try and do it in the most healthy way possible, which generally I've noticed satisfies whatever craving that I may have. But I think that's giving power to words like cheat or cheat day can be a dangerous thing and a slippery slope. So if you don't do that. And okay, so in terms of the intermittent fasting, like if you do happen to fall off, everybody falls off of diets. There's no one who is 100% sticking to their diet from beginning to end, and that's okay. You can fall off. It happens. I fall off. It happens. I don't think any diet where taking a day off or falling off and you have to like really restart is that manageable. That's why I'm not a big fan of ketosis and ketogenic diets, because getting bumped out of ketosis, it can take you a couple days, a couple hours, or some difficult ways to get back into it. So that's why it's one of the reasons why I don't suggest that diet very often. But yeah, with intermittent fasting, it's really easy to get back on track. You take another fast. You take your time out and you sit out for 16 or 18 hours and you get right back on track. Good question though. Hey Chris, big boxing fan. I know you have worked with Danny Jacobs for fights as a nutritionist. How does his diet, the athletic diet, differ from a regular diet when you train? Absolutely night and day. Absolutely night and day. An athlete and a general population, or even a fitness enthusiast, even someone who works out 4 or 5 days a week versus that of a professional athlete, is night and day. Literally might as well be a different species. Athletes, boxers especially, and really any high level athletes, the amount of training volume that goes into any week, any day, week, or month is astronomical. Way more than you would ever think. A boxer is training 2 times a day, and then you're mixing in recovery workouts and exercises and sessions within those as well. So you're looking at 2-3 sessions a day, 6 days a week. Fueling becomes extremely difficult because there's so much of their time is spent exercising. So that's where the anabolic window, supplements, and forced feedings come into play. Waking up and eating first thing in the morning, whether you're hungry or not. Having a shake while you're still sweating and shaking from your leg workout. Taking supplements so you can get enough calories and protein into your body becomes really important. Extremely, extremely different. Also, from a micronutrient standpoint, vitamins, minerals, things like that, the supplements, that's why they become so important for athletes, because they're burning through such amazing levels because of the tax that they're putting on their body metabolically, that it's nearly impossible to get all the micronutrients in that you need just from food alone. Again, because you're spending so much time training. This is one of my gripes that I have about the vegan lifestyle in terms of like the Game Changers movie talking about it's better for athletes. For one, there's no science to show that, no matter what that movie says. It's not a documentary. But two, I've worked with vegan athletes before. And in order to get some of the more difficult nutrients into the body at the levels that an athlete needs, it is extremely difficult to do plant-based. To get enough protein, get the right amino acids, get things like creatine, which are not found in plant sources. You have to supplement that. B12, you have to supplement that if you're a vegan. But making sure you get enough for an athlete is very, very difficult, and it's very transient, because unless you're doing blood tests on this athlete every week, it's hard to say where they're at in terms of their blood markers and their micronutrition. So again, athletes are spending so much, I can't stress this enough, so much time of their day training. It's very difficult to eat a ton of food in that time, especially high fibrous foods that you normally see in vegetarian and vegan meals, where it's tons of fiber and tons of volume. That's why eating an omnivoric diet is much more preferred for an athlete, so they can reach their calorie, fat, and protein needs without really going out of their way or supplementing to the umpteenth degree. Any other questions?
Does anyone have any other questions? This has been great, Chris. Thank you.
Oh, my pleasure. I didn't miss any, right?
I don't think so.
I thought there was going to be more nutrition questions.
You can also, everyone can, Chris is very active on social media as well. if you follow the alumni pages and the College of Osteopathic Medicine pages, you'll find him. So, you know, you can always connect with him.
Yeah, that's true too. You guys can.
He, you know, he's been posting some great recipes and some really great content on his social media sites as well. So, give him a shout out to follow.
If anybody needs any cooking inspiration, Amazon.com comes in a couple days. And I say this all the time. I'm not a chef. I like to cook, so none of the recipes are very difficult. They're fairly easy, very straightforward. The nutrition information is actually right in the recipe, so you know how many calories you're getting, carbohydrates, fat, grams, all that, and the ingredients are very simple. There's nothing in there that's hard to find. You don't have to go to a specialty food store or anything like that.
What's your favorite recipe in the cookbook?
So hard to say because I think unlike a lot of other athletes or celebrities who've done cookbooks, I don't think it's really their food. This is really my food. I've been cooking for a long time and have been worked on this book for many years before it actually came to fruition. So I do love a lot of the recipes in here. And it's funny, I kind of forgot the ones that are in here because I'm working on the next book and I'm trying to get new recipes as we're going. But actually the cover page is one of my favorites and super easy and versatile too. It's a sweet potato hash, and we put eggs in it for the photo just to make it look good, but that's actually not really what you normally cook it with. You can cook it with anything. I've cooked it with bison meat. I've cooked it with chicken. It's basically a one dish meal of onions, sweet potatoes, and avocado, and then basically cook that in an iron skillet. And you can do it with, like I said, any other meat source that you want, or not. And it can be a side, just as a sweet potato side.
Anyone else have anything else before we let Chris go on with his I guess rainy day?
Yeah, I have another presentation tomorrow, so I got to work on that. So
there you go.
Probably good. It's good that the sun's not out.
Well, if no one else has any questions. Oh, no. Esther, you can go ahead.
No, I just wanted to say thank you so much. That was wonderful.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for taking the time.
Well, like I said earlier, I have recorded the session. So we'll hope to post it on the New York Tech YouTube page and on social media in the next week or so. So you can always reference back to the presentation. And like I said, you know, follow Chris on social media. You can get his book. And I think that's it. Thank you so much, Chris.
My pleasure. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you making the time. And hopefully this helps.
Yeah, Kaylee says thank you. I see on the little chat. So,
nice.
All right, everyone. Thank you again for joining us, and have a great afternoon. I didn't get that. Hey, Siri, sorry.